Hello and welcome back. If you're new, hello, welcome. Feel free to subscribe. Today we're talking all about walking contradictions, fraudy feelings, imposter syndrome and trying to live a more authentic life. Yep, we're having a bit of a different chat today. If you're interested in my makeup, I did a get ready with me, which I will leave linked on the screen and you can go check it out if it's up. I'm not sure that it's up, it'll be up next week. Either way, it's coming soon if it's not already here, and I will update the video as and when. We're off to a flying start, people. Today I wanted to talk more about living more authentically, and it's something that's part of my 2018 goals. Now, I've not shared my goals for the year or anything like that. They're for me. I've written them out and I've written out steps on how I'm going to achieve them and all that kind of jazz. I just don't feel the need to share them at the minute. Maybe I'll share them in a while. But as part of that, like I said, is to live more authentically and to be more open and to engage with my life more and get out more of what I want. That makes sense. So, deep breath. We're going to have a chat, and I wanted to do this as well in the hope that you might recognize something in this as well and it might help you out a wee bit maybe. So, I've made notes because I might go off piste a wee bit too much and I'm trying to keep myself in a wee bit so this doesn't go on for half an hour. So we're going to rewind to, very briefly, to Bali. Now, I've mentioned before in my update about mental health and weight, etc., that I had breakthrough with Bali. I've talked about this before, very much so on the mental health front and just my soul. I guess that's the best way of putting it. It's good for the old soul. But I managed to let go of a lot of resentment and a lot of anger, and I kind of confronted a lot of issues that I'd held on to. So that was a win, and it also taught me the power of yoga and breathing. See, taking a big deep breath and expanding your lungs, best thing ever. But when I came back from Bali, I did definitely start to notice more so towards the end of the year that the stress was starting to build up again, my anxiety was starting to grow and all that kind of jazz. I went along to a conference which wasn't anything to do with mental health. It was about software testing, and there were two talks there. One was about anxiety and working with it and how to deal with it, and that was amazing because it's just a nice reminder to know you're not alone. So that's kind of why I wanted to do this video, is just to remind you you're not alone. That's normal. But it was learning how to deal with your anxiety and just breathing through it in a sense and just not overthinking it. For me, it's all about not overthinking it and remembering that people aren't necessarily thinking what you think they're thinking. Does that make sense? But it was all lots of anxiety about that and nervousness, because I had always been a questioner when in my trade. I always asked the why and but why, and you know, I was the queen of the why for a very long time, but then I stopped because I was very concerned with what people thought of me and the fact that people probably thought I was stupid for asking in the first place, and then I started to feel stupid for not knowing what they were talking about, and then I'd sneak off to look up what they were talking about rather than asking them why, so I could understand their interpretation and understand what was going on with them. So that was something for me that stopped. I also stopped putting forward ideas of things I wanted to do because I thought, well, they're probably not going to work. It's probably just me being me, and that, you know, not taking ownership of things and being brave enough to put things forward. That was part of the whole anxiety thing as well. And as part of that was this thing called imposter syndrome or fraudy feelings. I'm sure everybody has felt it, where you basically, you're waiting for the other foot to drop. If you're in a good position, you're like, well, I'm about to be fired, or I'm not really any good at this, and how am I here in the first place, and oh my good gravy. You know, that kind of feeling of not being good enough, not feeling you can contribute. That sort of feeling of just not being part of it, and that obviously ties in with the whole anxiety thing as well. So we all have it. We have that voice in our head that's picking away just relentlessly, just being like, so no, you're not good enough for this, you're not going to be able to do it, what are you even doing, even trying in the first place? So this is my year of trying to address the fraudy feelings and the imposter syndrome and the anxiety a bit more, and be a bit more active about it and a bit more open about it. I have talked about my mental health before and my journey with it. I'm in a very good place now. I still have at least one day a week where I have a bad mental health day, I guess is the best way of describing it, where it's like the feeling of feeling meh, but a bit worse. You know, you kind of struggle to get through the day a bit and you just want to sleep and you want to hide a bit. But that's okay. I allow myself to feel it and just to go with it and know that it's going to be okay. So that has been a new revelation for me, I guess, in more recent years, where I'm just like, it's okay. It's okay to have a bad day. It's okay to feel meh. It's okay to not want to engage or do anything. What I try to make sure I do now to help is, like I said, I let myself feel it, but I try to talk to people. I'll try to, like for example, I sat on the phone to my friend Jo for like an hour. I still felt a bit meh, but I felt a wee bit better. Then the next day I was still feeling a bit flat, but I was still feeling a wee bit better. And I went out and I went to talk to people in like my little community that I'm gradually trying to build up, and I'm trying to build up a network of people around me that I'm friends with and that I can talk to openly, and maybe not initially, but that I like to spend time with. So I go to the wool shop and I go in there to help figure out something with my crochet, and then the next thing you know, it's a couple of hours later, I've had a cup of tea, good old belly laugh, and I've had a nice, it's taken the edge off, and I feel a lot better and I'm much happier, and I've got the endorphins going again. So I have to force myself out, I have to make myself get out, but I remember that it is worth it. Okay, I'm rambling, I'm just trying to skim through my notes. So I also feel that I'm a bit of a walking contradiction, and I think that's entirely fine. So this is something else I've kind of come to terms with, that it's entirely fine to be this walking contradiction. I've always been a bit of an eclectic mix of all sorts of everything, but I finally come to terms with that. That's okay. That's entirely okay. So for example, I love my quiet days, like when I can hide from the world and read or play card games or just spend time with Simon or just crochet in the corner or read my comics or just hide from the world basically. And I do need to do that because I also love spending time with people, and I love getting out and doing things, and I love adrenaline sports, and I love crazy things. I love doing all sorts, but I need to have those quiet days, and that's entirely fine. And it's okay to like both. It is okay to be both kinds of people. You just got to find the balance to make sure it works for you. I also have come to terms with the fact that I'm a very colourful person, but I sometimes hide that from people, and I change myself for other people because I don't want to face their judgment, if that makes sense. I think I need to get better at listening to people and what they think and finding out more about them rather than just automatically dismissing it. I want to get better at hearing their argument, discussing it with them. We don't necessarily have to come to the same conclusion, but we need to have more open conversations. So I want to try and get better at that. So that could be something maybe of interest to you as well. These are all little points that you can make for yourself. So I'm having a conversation with you, but I'm trying to share little action points along the way. So that's definitely one. I want to get better at talking to people and having open conversations rather than automatically going on the defense and shutting down and not hearing what they have to say. We all have different life experiences, and we all get to where we are for different reasons. We don't know how people have ended up where they are. In regards to the fraudy feelings I feel about work, I used to be really good, like I said, about asking why and asking people's opinion and understanding where they were coming from on that front, so I could find out if we were fixing, the problem. Because for example, if you're building software, you want to know that you're building it for a purpose. You're not just putting it together because you fancy it. You want to know that you're solving a problem or you're meeting a need. And that's something like I said, I want to get better at. But also, I used to feel more confident in my work because I used to set aside time for my own research and to keep up to date with the latest technology and the latest of what was going on around me. So that's something I have to get back into the swing of. I'm actually going to try and set aside time during my working week. So that might mean a couple of hours on Wednesday, which it currently is, but it hasn't happened yet because we're going to Iceland and I need to just get a load of work done before I go. But it's making sure I learn more, so keeping up to date with the various blogs, and I also have a few wee training courses I want to put myself through just on changes that have been happening on social media and on SEO and that kind of jazz. And I want to start getting better at gathering the data and looking at what's happening and interpreting that. So I need to set aside the time for that so I can build my confidence and know that what I'm telling people, for example, on any training. I want to make sure that I'm giving them good information. And I also want to make sure that if I'm putting forward suggestions for changes of behaviour or new things I want to try out, that I've got some information there to show, well, this works like this and this has helped in the past, and you know, so I can actually know that what I'm saying is good. Does that make sense? So I'm going to make sure I set aside that time so I can build my confidence again. It is a matter of just building my confidence and knowing that I can let go of the imposter syndrome and the fraudy feelings and be like, no, look, I do know what I'm talking about, it's okay. And I just need to remind myself of that each time. So maybe in your work life or whatever, you need to set aside time for research and keeping up to date with the latest of what's going on in your field. So there's that. I'm also, something I'm going to try, and I heard this on another video, person I watched, Georgia, I think it's Georgia, I suddenly realised I'm not entirely sure. It is, I believe. I will link it down below. She's lovely. But she mentioned about learning a new skill each month, and I thought, you know, that's really good. And I've kind of already started without realising. So I've been learning to crochet. So I like doing things. I have that satisfaction of creating something and seeing a finished product. So I'm going to try and learn a new skill each month and focus on it. So this month I'm all about the crocheting, and I'm making a little hat, and it's going to soon be finished. And once that's completed, I want to start maybe crocheting something else, and learning a new type of stitch on that front, or creating something new. In February I have a book all about photo editing on a particular app that I have. So I will be focusing in on that a lot more, and I'm just going to pick a different skill each month that I want to polish and I want to get better on, and I'm going to spend that month just chipping away in it and building my confidence and getting better and all that kind of good jazz. So that would be really cool. I think that's a really good idea of just each month just focusing on one particular skill rather than trying to learn all these things all at once and nothing really gets done. So that's what I'm going to do. So photo editing is February. And this month, crocheting, knitting, creating cool shit. Oh, excuse my French. Something else I want to get better at, and I've always kind of dismissed it and hid it. I am actually quite a spiritual kind of person. I'm not religious in your normal sort of various denominations. You know, I was raised a Catholic and that sort of stuff. And I do sort of follow it, but I don't believe in the organised religion part of it. Very much more about living a good life, being a good person, having good ethics and all that jazz. But I do believe in there's something bigger than us, and I do believe in tapping into your subconscious and learning to trust yourself and that sort of side of things. So maybe that's not necessarily spiritual in some people's eyes, but for me it is about building trust in myself as well. For example, now people will probably react to this in various different ways. I use tarot cards on a daily basis pretty much, but I don't do them to predict the future or anything like that. It is more, I don't think anybody can do that, by the way. I think it's more about tapping into decisions. Well, it's not that, so if I have a question in my head, I will play out a few cards, and more often than not, I'm just tapping into my subconscious because I'm going to interpret those cards to answer the question. So I already know the answer. I just need to say, yeah, that's actually what I'm going to do. So I just use it as a way of tapping into my subconscious a bit more and tapping into trusting myself. So that's how I use them. Now, some people do believe in using them in different fashions, but that's not how I use them for myself. It can highlight what is coming up, but I think it is there for interpretation, and it is down to you how you use the information. So you can say, well, this is about to happen. Do I want to do it this way or that way? You know, so that's that kind of way. Do you know what? Biddy Tarot, she explains it much better than I can. It's not any kind of evil or devil worship or any kind of anything like that. It's more about building trust in yourself, from my understanding. That's how I do it. So there you go, you've learned something new about me that I wouldn't normally tell the world, but that's what I get up to. And if you're interested, I have an Instagram. I sort of keep a daily record. It's more like a record for me to look back on and to share my journey with some other like-minded people. So there you go. Learn something a bit different about me. I'm a bit woo-woo. Who knew? From all the yoga and all the other stuff. Who knew? So yeah, so that's generally where I'm heading. I'm just going to be more unashamedly me. I don't want to just try and please people anymore. I want to just be me. I want to understand their thinking. I want to get to know what I'm doing better. I want to get to know me better, which sounds really naff actually. But this year is the year of awesome. I have decided. There are various things I want to accomplish and I want to focus in on doing them and doing them really well. If 2017 has taught me anything, is to do less and do it better. So I have a whole thing coming up about what I've learned in my first year of being an entrepreneur and working for myself. That'll come up soon. But this was just my initial, this is what's going on. This is how I'm currently focusing on dealing with imposter syndrome, and this is how I'm looking after myself, and this is how I'm aiming towards being much more me than ever before. Being authentically me. I think that's stolen from Brené Brown. If you've not heard of Brené Brown, you need to go look that woman up. She's really cool. I like her books. But yes, this is about trying to open up more and connect more with people and be part of a community and share my life experience a bit more. Is kind of where I want to aim more with my channel. So I thought I would start and take a deep breath and do it anyway. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to know what your aim is for this year, or if you have dealt with fraudy feelings or your anxiety, etc. How do you deal with it and how do you keep moving forward? And yeah, this is me opening up. And thank you so much for watching. Thanks for taking your time out to hang out with me. And I hope it's interesting, and I'm really nervous, so hopefully I do actually publish this video. If you're seeing it, well, obviously I have. Well done on you. Well done. But yeah, I wanted to say I rock, you rock, everybody rocks. 2018 is going to be awesome personally, and onwards people. Onwards and upwards. Talk to you really soon. Bye.